João was a 14-year-old boy who seemed to carry the weight of the world on his shoulders. The small town where he lived, with its cobblestone streets and simple houses, was home to many, but for him, it was a constant reminder of the hardships he faced. Since the sudden death of his parents in a tragic accident, life had become a daily struggle to maintain the home and care for his younger sister, Anna. The house they lived in, a modest two-bedroom property, had an aura of nostalgia. The walls, once filled with laughter and play, now echoed with a deep silence, interrupted only by the distant sound of children laughing as they played in the street. João used to get lost in his memories, remembering the sunny afternoons when his parents would take him to the park. Now, the memories were just echoes of a happy past that seemed distant. Anna, just 8 years old, was the light of João's life. He loved her deeply and did everything he could to protect her. The little girl had a vibrant spirit that could brighten even the darkest days. However, life had not been kind to her. Recently, Anna began to feel unwell, complaining of constant pain. João, concerned, took her to a doctor, and the news he received would change their lives forever. With a choked voice, the doctor announced that Anna suffered from a rare disease that required intensive and expensive treatment. The words seemed to echo in his mind, becoming a melody of despair. João felt the ground give way beneath his feet. The feeling of helplessness enveloped him like a heavy blanket. How could he afford the treatment his sister so desperately needed? Without resources, without a plan, he felt the pressure increase in his chest. João's routine, which was already exhausting, had become even more challenging. He tried to balance school, household chores, and the responsibility of caring for Anna, while the constant worry about her health consumed him. He tried hard to show a semblance of normality, but the anguish became a burden with each passing day. In the back of his mind, the only question that persisted was, how would he be able to save his sister? The family's financial situation had become critical. What had once been minor concerns, such as buying school supplies or having a snack on the weekend, had now become matters of survival. John knew he would need to find a way to earn money. He had tried small jobs like gardening and cleaning, but nothing seemed to be enough. The fear of losing Anna was a constant shadow, a reminder of what could happen if he didn't act quickly. When John looked at Anna as she slept, the fragility of her health haunted him. He sat beside her, holding her small, thin hand, trying to absorb the strength that remained in his sister. The sparkle in Anna's eyes, which used to reflect joy and curiosity, was now overshadowed by pain and fatigue. Each day without treatment left her weaker, and a sense of urgency pulsed through her veins. With determination born of desperation, João knew he had to act. The love he felt for Anna was becoming a burning flame inside him, and that night, as he looked out the window, he thought of all the possibilities. He needed to be creative, to find a solution that could make a difference. With an idea still bubbling in his mind, he closed his eyes and allowed himself to dream. Maybe there was a way to raise the money needed to save his sister. The next morning came with a cloudy sky, reflecting João's state of mind. He woke up before the sun, the silence of the house echoing in his mind. After preparing a simple coffee, he sat at the table, where the smell of toasted bread reminded him of happier times. Anna was still sleeping, her serene face contrasting with the storm of worries that gathered inside him. After a quick breakfast, John decided it was time to take Anna to the doctor again. He wanted to better understand her condition, especially after the last few appointments that had only brought more questions than answers. With a soft kiss on his sister's forehead, he woke her up, trying to hide the anxiety in his voice. "Anna, honey, let's go to the doctor. I need you to get dressed, okay?" She blinked, still sleepy, but her smile lit up the room. It was this smile that gave João strength, that made the world seem a more bearable place. He put on his cleanest shirt, picked up his backpack that still contained some unfinished schoolwork, and together they left for the office. The wait in the doctor's office was torturous. Each minute seemed like an eternity. João held Anna's hand while she played with his fingers, an innocent gesture that calmed him a little. He tried to divert his mind from the uncertainties, but every time he looked at the clock, his heart started racing. When they were finally called, the doctor, a kind woman with a look of empathy, welcomed them. The room, with its white walls and charts, seemed like a world apart. João felt a mixture of hope and fear as he sat down next to Anna. The doctor examined Anna carefully, asking questions about her symptoms and reviewing her previous tests. With each word that came out of her mouth, João's heart seemed to sink. After a few minutes, the doctor asked Anna to lie down for a more detailed examination. João watched as the doctor asked his sister questions, trying to keep the atmosphere light, but despair was beginning to form in his chest. Finally, the doctor turned to John, her face serious. He knew the news would not be good. "John, I need to be honest with you. Anna's condition is more serious than we thought. She was diagnosed with a rare disease that requires intensive and expensive treatment. Without this treatment, unfortunately, I cannot guarantee that she will recover." The doctor's words echoed in his mind like thunder. The air seemed to have disappeared from the room, and the room became a void in which nothing else existed. John felt the world around him crumble. The sight of Anna, so small and vulnerable on the examination table, was like a punch to the stomach. Tears began to well up in his eyes, but he quickly blinked them away. He couldn't show weakness in front of his sister. "What do I need to do?" he asked, his voice shaking. The doctor explained the treatment and the costs involved. John tried to absorb every word, every number, but it all seemed distant, as if he were listening from outside. The reality was unbearable. He wondered how he would ever raise the money he needed. With a lump in his throat, he thanked the doctor and left the office, pulling Anna close. The walk back home was a blur of emotions. Each step felt heavy, and despair grew. As he walked, his gaze fixed on the ground, and the image of his sister became a memory that he needed to protect at all costs. When they got home, the house seemed colder than ever. João saw Anna settle into the couch, her eyes still bright, but the light seemed more distant. He sat down next to her and hugged her tightly. "It's okay, Anna. We'll find a way." He was talking to himself more than to her. With his mind in a haze, he pondered how he could raise the money. Each idea that came to him seemed inadequate. He looked at Anna, asleep on the couch, and a growing determination began to rise within him. No matter what it took, he would find a way to save his sister. With a heavy heart but a focused mind, he began to formulate a plan. His love for Anna became his only motivation, his only hope amidst the storm that was gathering in his life. The night stretched like a heavy shadow over John as he sat at the kitchen table, the dim light from the lamp illuminating just enough for him to see Anna's face asleep on the couch. The silence was deafening, broken only by the occasional crackle of the heater and the rustle of leaves outside where the wind was beginning to blow. With a restless mind, he reviewed everything he had learned about Anna's condition, about the treatments that would need to be done, and how much they would cost. Sitting at the table, John felt the pressure of the world on his shoulders. Looking around, every item in the house, every forgotten toy in the corner, every object that had once brought joy now seemed like a reminder of the struggle they faced. He thought about his childhood, the moments of happiness, and the pain of knowing that it could end very soon. The weight of despair became almost unbearable, and the thought of losing Anna left him paralyzed. But amidst the darkness, a spark of determination began to shine. He couldn't let that happen. Anna needed him, and he would do whatever it took to save her. Without further ado, he decided it was time to act. He knew he had to find a way to raise the money, and he had to do it as quickly as possible. John got up from his desk and began to pace the room. What could he do? The idea of working around people who looked at him strangely was not appealing, but he had no other choice. The pressure to find a solution was unbearable. He thought about his classmates, many of whom had part-time jobs, but he had no way to compete with them. What could he do that would be different? It was then that an idea began to take shape in his mind. John remembered a time when he had seen a street performer singing in a local park. He had no musical talent, but the idea of using his voice for something more seemed intriguing. Why not give it a try? He could sing at traffic lights, offer to wash windows, anything that would attract attention and arouse people's compassion. But to do so, he would need courage. He grabbed a pen and paper and began writing down everything he could do. Wash windows at traffic lights. Sing to raise money. With each written word, his determination grew. But the idea of exposing himself to ridicule frightened him. What would happen if people laughed at him? What if no one wanted to help? Each question was a sword in his heart, but he remembered Anna's smile, how she always believed in him. He had to remember what was at stake. Meanwhile, the sun was beginning to rise on the horizon, bringing new light to the day. John woke up Anna, who was still sleepy, and encouraged her to get dressed. He took her to breakfast, where she ate bread and butter, distracting herself with stories of adventures that he made up to make her laugh. He needed her to be happy, even if only for a brief moment. And so, as his sister smiled, his heart filled with hope. After breakfast, John decided it was time to hit the streets. They walked to the busiest corner in town, where cars were constantly passing by. John's heart was racing as he looked around, trying to find the courage. He watched other people washing windows and wondered how they managed to overcome their shyness. With one last look at Anna, who was watching curiously, he took a deep breath and decided there was no turning back. "It's time, Anna. Let's begin," he said, trying to convey confidence, even though he was shaking inside. He approached a car that had stopped at a red light and, with a nervous smile, began washing the windows. At first, the silence was oppressive, and shame wrapped around him like a blanket. But when the driver gave him a curious look, a small spark of hope sparked in his chest. He tried his best to do a good job, while Anna stood next to him, holding a sign that read, "Please help. My sister needs treatment." The first few minutes were difficult. The driver of the car in front of him seemed indifferent, but John didn't give up. He smiled and sang a simple melody that reminded him of the songs that Anna used to listen to. When the light turned green and the car started moving, John felt a mix of frustration and determination. He couldn't stop. He had to try one more time. He continued to move from car to car, receiving looks of astonishment and compassion. Although the first few days were slow, little by little people began to stop and listen. Every donation he received, no matter how small, was a step toward his goal. As the day progressed, John realized that even amidst the discomfort and uncertainty, there was a sense of purpose. Every song he sang and every glass he washed brought a new reason to keep fighting. At the end of the day, John and Anna counted the coins they had collected, and although they were still far from their goal, there was a growing sense that change was possible. John's determination solidified, and he promised himself that he would not give up. He knew he had a long road ahead of him, but this was the first step on his journey. The sun began to set, tinting the sky with shades of orange and pink, as John and Anna walked home, exhausted but with their hearts a little lighter. When they arrived, Anna sat on the couch, tired but still smiling. The sight of her resting, with her head resting on the pillow, brought John a moment of peace amidst the whirlwind of emotions that surrounded him. He sat down next to her, and as she closed her eyes, he picked up the sign they had used earlier that day. It read, "Please help. My sister needs treatment." The words seemed to echo in his mind, reminding him of the purpose that drove him. He looked at Anna, the little warrior who was fighting such a big battle. She needed him, and he was determined to keep going. The next day, Joao woke up early, determined to improve his approach. He remembered the songs he had always loved, the ones that made his heart beat faster, and decided that he would combine his passion for music with fundraising. The idea of singing instead of just washing windows seemed more in line with who he was. He quickly made a list of songs he could sing, and as the day dawned, he practiced in his room, imitating the movements of artists he admired on television. As he drove Anna to school, he noticed that the weather was changing. The air was cooler, and the leaves were beginning to change color, heralding the arrival of fall. It was a time of transformation, and John felt that his own life was beginning to change as well. After school, he decided to go to a nearby park, where there was more activity, more people who could hear his music. With the sign in one hand and his heart in the other, he stood in a busy corner of the park, near a lake where children played and families picnicked. The atmosphere was vibrant, and the energy around him seemed promising. As he looked around at the people around him, John realized that they were all wrapped up in their own lives, but if he could capture their attention, maybe he could make a difference. He began to sing. The music echoed in his chest, and as he opened his mouth, something unexpected happened. A surge of courage washed over him. The words that came out were a silent plea, a plea not only for Anna to help, but also an expression of everything he felt. The fear, the hope, the love, everything became a melody that reverberated through the air. The first notes caught the attention of some people passing by. John saw eyes turning to him, and instead of feeling shy, his confidence grew. He remembered Anna's smile and sang with more intensity. To his surprise, a small group began to form around him, some clapping and others smiling excited. By the improvised performance, the music continued to flow, and Joao felt more alive than ever. He sang with passion, and the connection he made with the audience encouraged him. Every applause and smile he received was fuel that motivated him to keep going. When he finished the first song, he looked at the people around him, feeling a little lighter. After singing for a few more hours, John sat on a bench, out of breath but beaming. He had raised a significant amount of money, more than he had expected. Most importantly, he had felt heard, seen. He wasn't just a kid struggling, he was an artist, someone who had something to offer the world. As he counted the coins, he realized that his journey was just beginning. Every chant, every donation, was a step closer to getting on a treatment. He was beginning to understand that even though the road was difficult, There was beauty in the struggle, in the music, and in the unity he was creating with the people around him. With new determination, he returned home and found Anna sitting at the table, doing her homework. He watched her for a moment, feeling the weight of responsibility, but also a new hope. Seeing her, an idea flashed through his mind. If he could put on a show, maybe he could raise even more money. He remembered how at his school they would organize events and festivals. What if he could do something similar, but this time, something geared towards helping Anna? It was a bold idea, but maybe it was just what he needed to take the next step on his journey. "Anna," he said, the excitement in his voice catching her attention. "What if we put on a show? A festival to raise money for your treatment?" Anna's eyes sparkled. "A show? I can dance," he exclaimed, jumping out of his chair. Joao smiled, feeling the energy between them grow. He knew he would need help, but with Anna by his side, he felt he could face any challenge. John and Anne's enthusiasm spread through the house like a warm glow on a winter's day. With the idea of the festival pulsing through their minds, they sat together at the kitchen table, pen and paper ready to bring their plan to life. The energy between them was contagious, a spark of hope that lit up the darkness that loomed over their lives. "We need a cool name for the festival," Anna suggested, biting her pencil, her expression focused. John laughed, finding it adorable how his sister got excited about each new idea. They spent some time brainstorming, trying to find a name that captured the spirit of the event and the reason they were organizing it. "How about Festival of Hope?" Joao proposed, imagining the smiles and solidarity that could emerge. "I loved it," Anna replied, her excitement visible. "And we can ask people to bring donations instead of selling tickets." So the idea began to take shape. They listed all the items they would need: a location, sound equipment, posters for advertising, and of course, artists who could perform. Their excitement kept them motivated, and each item they crossed off the list was one step closer to making the festival happen. With the list in hand, John decided he needed help. The first step was to talk to his friends at school. He gathered a small group during recess and presented the idea for the festival. Surprised looks quickly turned to smiles, and before long, he was surrounded by classmates offering to help. "I can bring my guitar," said Lucas, a friend who always stood out in music class. "And I can make the posters," added Sophia, a girl full of creative ideas. John felt his heart warm. The support he was receiving was more than he had ever expected. As his excitement grew, he realized he was not alone on this journey. He was surrounded by friends willing to come together for a common purpose. In the days that followed, word spread throughout the school and the neighborhood, and the team grew. They met every afternoon, discussing ideas and organizing everything they needed. Each meeting was an opportunity to reinforce the hope that was growing in John's heart, and Anna, always by his side, became the source of inspiration he needed. The festival was scheduled for a Saturday, 2 weeks after the initial planning. The chosen location was a community park, a large space that could accommodate several people. As the date approached, John's anxiety began to grow. There was so much to do, and only so much time. One afternoon, while they were preparing the posters, Anna watched her brother with a serious look. "You're nervous, aren't you?" she asked, tilting her head to the side. John hesitated, but decided to be honest. "Yes, Anna. What if it doesn't work out? What if people don't show up?" Anna smiled, her gaze full of confidence. "You're doing this for me. I believe it will work. And besides, we have a lot of friends helping us. We're not alone." Her wisdom made Joao feel lighter. He needed to remember the strength he had on his side. During the days that followed, each new day brought a sense of urgency, but also an increase in anticipation. The team was committed, and each brought their unique skills to the festival. When the day of the festival finally arrived, the sky was clear and sunny, as if the universe was conspiring in their favor. The park was decorated with colorful balloons, and tables were set up to display the donations and food that would be given away. Friends and family began to arrive, their voices blending into a symphony of joy and hope. Joao, wearing a t-shirt that said Festival of Hope, was nervous, but Anna's presence by his side brought a smile to his face. They walked together to the makeshift stage they had set up, where artists from various parts of the world were ready to perform. "Hello everyone," Joao began, taking the microphone with shaking hands, but with a firm gaze. "Thank you for being here today. We are organizing this festival to help my sister, Anna, who needs treatment. Every donation you make will help her recover and continue singing and dancing, as she always did." The applause and cheers of support that followed filled his heart with gratitude. He felt connected to every person in the crowd, to every friend who had come together to help. The energy was palpable, and he realized that this festival was more than a fundraiser. It was a celebration of life, hope, and love. Thus, with each artist's performance, the laughter and emotions increased. The atmosphere was charged with joy, and João could not help but feel that each note sung, each song played, brought a little more hope to his life and to Anna's. When Anna took the stage to dance during one of the performances, João felt tears of emotion streaming down his face. He knew that no matter what happened, their journey was just beginning, and the bond they had created with others was a powerful force. This festival was not just an attempt to raise money, but a testament to the fact that love and hope can bring people together in times of trouble. The festival continued throughout the afternoon, and João felt that the energy around him was contagious. The laughter of the children, the enthusiastic applause of the audience, and the sparkle in Anna's eyes as she danced on stage created a magical atmosphere. He remembered all the difficult moments he had faced up until that point, and now he was immersed in a wave of love and support that enveloped him like a warm embrace. Each performance on stage was a step closer to the goal. Local musicians, school friends, and even a few neighbors joined in, all excited to contribute their talents to the cause. João watched from the side of the stage, his joy growing with each song. He couldn't help but feel that his family's struggle was touching the lives of everyone around them, uniting people from different walks of life on a single journey. When it was João's turn to perform, his nerves took over again. The stage was packed with friends, family, and strangers, but Anna's encouraging smile in the audience calmed him. He took a deep breath, feeling the vibration of the music in the air and the love pulsing around him. He took the microphone and, with a trembling voice, began to sing a song that had always moved him. It was about struggle and hope, an expression of everything he was feeling. As the notes left his mouth, he saw people moving to the music, their faces lighting up with smiles. João felt that he was touching not only the ears, but also the hearts of everyone there. As he sang, a wave of emotion washed over him, and he could see the impact he was creating. Some people were visibly moved, wiping away tears of joy and hope. As the song ended, a round of applause broke out, and he smiled gratefully. That moment was a testament to the fact that his struggle and his music were resonating, and that together they were creating something much greater than he had ever imagined. After his performance, João came down from the stage and joined Anna. He hugged her, and the two sat together, watching the festival in full action. The warmth of the community was there, and for a moment, they allowed themselves to dream. The dream of a future where Anna would be healthy, running and dancing without worrying about anything. As the day went on, the donations began to pour in. The boxes they had set up to raise funds were quickly filling up. John and Anna couldn't believe what they were seeing. The generosity of the people was overwhelming, and they felt honored and grateful to be surrounded by such a strong support network. As the sun began to set, turning the sky golden and orange, John stepped back onto the stage to make an announcement. He wanted to thank everyone in attendance, but he also wanted to share a new idea that had been brewing in his mind. "Guys," he began with a radiant smile, "today was an incredible day, and it was only possible thanks to each and every one of you. But I have a proposal. What if we make the Festival of Hope an annual event? A day to celebrate life, music, and solidarity?" The crowd cheered and cheered in support of the idea. João felt a wave of emotion run through his body. This community was coming together not just for Anna, but for everyone facing similar struggles. It was a moment of transformation, hope, and unity. That night, as the stars began to shine in the sky, John and Anna were exhausted but incredibly happy. They counted their donations and were surprised to see that they had raised enough to cover Anna's treatment, plus extra money to help other children in the same situation. The fight was not over yet, but at that moment, anything seemed possible. As they prepared to go home, Anna looked at John and said, "Did you see how much fun everyone had? And look how many people came together to help us." John nodded, his heart filled with gratitude. They had created something beautiful and meaningful together, and their journey was just beginning. From that day forward, the Festival of Hope would become a tradition, a symbol of love and unity that would continue to grow and inspire others to join in their own struggles. So as they walked home, the stars shining brightly above them, John and Anna felt that life was about to turn into something wonderful. Together, they had faced challenges, overcome obstacles, and most importantly, found hope amidst the chaos. In the days following the festival, John and Anna's lives began to change in ways they never imagined. The success of the event not only raised enough money for Anna's treatment, but it also brought an outpouring of support and love from the community. Messages of encouragement and offers of help began to flood their home. The phone rang off the hook, and neighbors frequently stopped by with food and kind gestures. Anna, now with a special sparkle in her eyes, was more cheerful than ever. Laughter filled the house again, and even in difficult times, optimism spread. Anna's treatment was scheduled for the following week, and the anticipation was palpable. Although João knew that the road ahead would not be easy, he felt strengthened by his recent experience and the support network he had built. On the morning of the treatment, a mixture of anxiety and hope hung in the air. João woke up early, preparing a special breakfast for Anna. He wanted her to feel loved and supported. As he sat at the table, with a smile on his face, he noticed that Anna was calmer than usual. "I'm ready, John," she said, holding his hand tightly. "We can do this together." The ride to the hospital was filled with conversation and laughter. They discussed the festival, the people they had helped, and how excited their friends were for the upcoming event. The joy in their voices was a stark contrast to the gravity of what they were about to face. When they arrived at the hospital, the environment was a little intimidating. The white walls and the smell of disinfectant were new to them, but Anna's determination remained unwavering. She held John's hand as they walked down the hallway, following the signs that pointed the way to the treatment room. "I'm nervous, but also excited," Anna confessed, looking at her brother. "I know this will help me." John smiled, his heart swelling with pride at his sister's strength. He encouraged her, reminding her of the support they had from everyone who was rooting for her. As they entered the treatment room, a friendly nurse greeted them and began explaining the process. He explained each step, making sure Anna knew what to expect. Anna listened intently, but João noticed that, despite her knowledge, there was a slight tremor in her hands. To calm her down, he began to sing one of his favorite songs, the one he had performed at the festival. The melody softened the atmosphere, and Anna smiled, her eyes shining with love and gratitude. After a few moments, the treatment began. João held Anna's hand as she prepared herself, his expression of determination keeping her courage high. The process was long, but the music and João's presence helped to ease Anna's fear. During his treatment, João reflected on what he had learned from his journey so far. He remembered the festival, the support of the community, and the love they had for each other. Anna's strength was an inspiration, and he felt privileged to be by her side. He realized that her fight was not just hers. It was a fight that brought her family, friends, and community together. As the treatment continued, the medical team talked to them, explaining each step of the process. Their words were comforting, and Anna began to feel more at ease. She closed her eyes and, following João's suggestion, began to imagine a future where she could dance freely again. After a few hours, the treatment finally came to an end. João was exhausted, but Anna's smile made it all worth it. When the medical team finished, they stopped to say an enthusiastic goodbye, and Anna thanked everyone for their help and support. When they left the hospital, the sky was blue and sunny, and John looked at Anna, who was walking more lightly than before. She looked a little tired, but there was a new light in her eyes. "We did it!" exclaimed Anna, smiling enthusiastically. "Now all I need to do is get better." John laughed, his heart filled with joy. He knew there was still a long way to go, but that first step was already a big step forward. They returned home, where their family was waiting for them. When they entered, they were greeted with hugs and words of encouragement. The house was filled with love and hope, and at that moment, anything seemed possible. The following weeks were dedicated to Anna's recovery. João was by her side every step of the way, always encouraging her and helping her stay positive. They watched movies and read together, and in his free time, João composed new songs, drawing inspiration from Anna's strength and the journey they were on. Each day was a new opportunity to move closer to Anna's goal of being healthy again. Their struggle had become a symbol of perseverance, and João knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they were ready to face them together. Their love for each other had grown stronger, and each moment together became a celebration of life and hope. As Anna recovered, life began to return to a degree of normalcy. João and Anna were closer than ever, and the atmosphere at home was full of hope and laughter. However, the struggle was far from over, and new challenges would soon arise. Anna still needed regular medical monitoring and treatment. Although the first few days after treatment were encouraging, the reality of her condition could not be ignored. Hospital visits became a routine part of their lives, and each appointment brought a new wave of anxiety. João noticed that Anna was dealing with complex emotions, joy at getting better and worry about the future. One morning, As they were having breakfast, Anna looked at John, her face worried. "I'm scared, John. What if the treatment doesn't work? What if I never dance like I used to?" The question left John speechless for a moment. He knew that uncertainty was a difficult part of the journey, but he had also seen Anna's strength in action. "Look, Anna," he began, trying to find the right words. "Life is full of challenges. But remember, we're in this together. You have incredible strength and the support of all of us. No matter what happens, you'll never be alone." Anna smiled, but he could see the shadow of doubt in her eyes. After breakfast, they decided to take a walk in the park, one of their favorite places. The sun was shining, and the gentle breeze was refreshing. The trees were beginning to bloom, symbolizing a new beginning. As they walked, John had an idea. What if we had a new festival? To raise money for research into treatments that could help not only you, but other children as well. Anna stopped, her expression brightening. That would be amazing. An event to raise awareness and help others. The idea quickly gained momentum. They began planning another festival, this time with a broader focus, helping other children facing similar struggles. The team from the first festival was excited to get involved again, and the meetings became a combination of brainstorming and pure excitement. As they worked on the festival, Anna began to feel a new energy. The project seemed to give her a renewed sense of purpose. With each meeting, the anxiety that had once gripped her began to dissipate, replaced by a sense of hope and determination. However, not everything was perfect. During one of the doctor's appointments, the medical team brought news that worried João and Anna. The treatment was progressing, but Anna's recovery would not be as fast as they had hoped. She would have to undergo more sessions and deal with side effects that would leave her physically weakened. The news came as a bombshell. On the way back home, the silence between the siblings was palpable. Anna looked out the window, watching the trees pass by, while a look of discouragement took over her face. "I don't know if I can do this again," she murmured, almost as if talking to herself. John felt his heart tighten. He wanted to be strong for Anna, but he also felt overwhelmed with worry. "You are the strongest person I know, Anna, and you don't have to go through this alone. We are all here for you." Anna sighed, but he realized that his words were not enough to comfort her. When they got home, they decided to take a break. Each one needed to process their emotions in their own way. While Anna retreated to her room, João sat on the couch, his heart heavy. It was then that he decided he had to take action. He sought support from the friends who had joined them at the first festival. If they all came together again, they could create something even bigger, not only to help Anna, but also to offer hope to everyone struggling with illness. João sent messages to everyone, explaining Anna's situation and how the new festival could serve as a foundation for support and awareness. The response was instantaneous. Everyone was ready to help, offering their skills, time, and resources. The strong connection and solidarity of his friends brought relief to João's heart. During the planning meetings, Anna began to open up about her fears and anxieties. The support from her friends, their creative energy, and their excitement in planning the festival brought back some of her joy. She realized that she was not alone in her struggle, and that together they could make a real difference in the lives of other children. With the support of the community and the renewed strength she found in collaboration, Anna began to feel more hopeful. Although challenges still lay ahead, the knowledge that they had a greater purpose brought light at the end of the tunnel. They were ready to face whatever came their way, together, as they always had been. With Anna's newfound determination and the support of the community, preparations for the second Festival of Hope quickly began to take shape. The excitement was palpable at every gathering, and the positive energy that permeated the environment was contagious. João felt like he was finally in tune with their mission, and Anna seemed invigorated, as if each small step was a reminder that the struggle was far from in vain. The team gathered at the park where the previous festival had taken place. As they walked around, everyone started sharing their ideas. João suggested that they include several activities: music performances, dances, traditional foods, and even a charity race. He knew that the variety of attractions would attract more people and consequently more donations. Anna, with a smile on her face, began organizing a special dance performance where she and some friends would perform. However, as the days went on, Anna began to face an internal battle. The side effects of the treatment were more intense than she had imagined. At times, her energy levels were so low that she could barely get out of bed. Despite this, the vision of the festival kept her motivated. She knew that the event could make a significant difference in the lives of many children. One evening, while John was working on a poster for the festival, he heard a soft knock on the door. It was Anna. With a worried look on her face, she sat down next to him. "John, he began hesitantly. "I'm having a hard time. Sometimes I feel like I'm not strong enough for this." John stopped what he was doing and looked into her eyes. He knew that behind that strength that everyone saw, there was a vulnerability. "Anna, you are amazing. What you have done so far is inspiring. Remember that you don't have to carry all the weight alone. We are in this together." She smiled, but the sparkle in her eyes was clouded by uncertainty. "I just want everything to work out. I don't want to disappoint anyone." "You could never let us down," John replied firmly. "What matters is your strength and your courage. The festival is about all of us, and you are the reason we are doing it." Anna felt a little more encouraged, but there was still a shadow of doubt. João knew he needed to do something to boost her confidence. The next morning, he organized a small group of friends to meet at Anna's house. When she saw them, her smile widened. Their presence filled her with joy and made her realize that she was not alone in this struggle. The friends brought snacks, poster materials, and most importantly, words of encouragement. They sat together in the living room, planning the festival activities and deciding how they could get involved. The energy of the group made Anna forget, even if only for a moment, the difficulties she faced. Every laugh, every idea shared made her feel more alive, more connected. As the group discussed, she remembered a special moment she had experienced at the first festival, and the idea of creating something new and meaningful began to blossom. "How about we make a wall of hope?" Anna suggested, with a sparkle in her eyes. People could leave messages for other children, words of strength and support. The idea was met with enthusiasm. Everyone was excited, and soon they were making plans for the mural. Anna felt her heart warm at the idea of bringing together so many voices and experiences. It was a way to immortalize each person's struggle and strength, a symbol that no one was alone. As the days turned into weeks, preparations for the festival began to speed up. Excitement grew, and Anna did her best to participate in everything, even when fatigue threatened to overwhelm her. The energy surrounding her encouraged her, and João was always by her side, making sure she took care of herself and didn't overdo it. Finally, the day of the festival arrived. The park was decorated with colorful balloons, tables were covered with delicious treats made by members of the community, and a stage was set up for the performances. The atmosphere was electric, and the sun shone brightly, as if celebrating the victory of love and hope. João and Anna were in the middle of it all, watching the action. He saw her smile as she watched children playing, people talking, and music filling the air. It was a magical moment, a testament to the strength of the community and the love everyone had for it. "Look, Anna, can you feel it? It's the energy of the festival," exclaimed João, his voice full of enthusiasm. Anna nodded, and as she looked at the faces of those around her, she felt a wave of gratitude. They were all together, fighting for something bigger. And despite the challenges, that day represented a victory. She knew she was making a difference, and that her struggle was inspiring others to do the same. As the final preparations were made, a new sense of hope permeated the air. The festival was a reflection of the resilience and strength, not only of Anna, but of all who were ready to face their own battles. The day of the Festival of Hope finally arrived, and the atmosphere in the park was one of pure joy. The sun was shining brightly, and the laughter of children mixed with the sound of live music, creating a symphony of happiness. John and Anna stood at the entrance, welcoming the guests with warm smiles, their hearts beating in sync with the spirit of the event. As people arrived, João couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. The festival was much more than just an event. It was a celebration of life, resilience, and the strength of the community. When he looked at Anna, he saw that she was full of energy, despite the challenges she faced. The sparkle in her eyes was undeniable and inspiring. The festival began with a musical performance, and as always, João took the stage. He grabbed the microphone, felt the energy of the crowd, and began playing his guitar. The notes flowed like a river, and he could tell that the audience was completely engaged. Anna was in the audience, applauding and dancing, her smile lighting up the room. The songs he chose were a combination of his own compositions and some of his favorite songs. Each had a message of hope and strength, and the energy from the audience was infectious. When he finished his performance to enthusiastic applause, he couldn't help but notice the emotion in Anna's eyes, as she had tears of happiness in her eyes. After João's performance, several other events followed. Children ran around the park, laughing and playing, while other dance groups performed. The wall of hope that Anna had designed was being filled with messages of love and support. People wrote encouraging words, each contributing their own testimony of strength. The day was filled with activities, from face painting to a dance competition. Anna and John participated in one of the competitions, where Anna performed a routine she had rehearsed with her friends. As she danced, the world around her disappeared, and she felt free, as if the worries of life no longer mattered. The crowd was on their feet, applauding and cheering, and John felt a surge of pride for his sister. As the hours passed, the festival reached its peak. The energy in the park was intense, and everyone was immersed in the celebration of life and overcoming obstacles. The food brought by the community was delicious, and the diversity of flavors reflected the unity of the people. João and Ana walked around the park, talking to friends and receiving thanks from people who were impacted by the power of their story. As the sun began to set, creating a sky painted in shades of orange and pink, the most anticipated moment of the festival arrived, the fundraiser. João took the stage again, this time with a serious but determined expression. He began to talk about the importance of the festival and the impact it was having on the lives of children and families facing illness. Today, we are here not just to have fun, but to make a difference in the lives of people who need us, he said, his voice firm and full of emotion. The money raised will help fund treatments and research to find cures. Together, we are stronger. The crowd listened intently, and everyone's gazes were fixed on him. The excitement in the air was palpable, and John knew that this was the time to touch people's hearts. Anna, come here, he called, gesturing for her to join him on stage. Anna hesitated for a moment, but the warm support from the audience encouraged her. She stepped onto the stage, and as she looked out at the audience, she felt adrenaline rush through her veins. This festival is a celebration of life, she began, her voice shaking slightly. I am grateful to have the support and love of all of you. Each of you is an important part of this journey. She looked at the wall of hope and continued. The messages you left there mean the world to me and to all the children fighting diseases. Thank you for being here today. Anna's words echoed through the crowd, and the audience erupted in warm applause. João approached and held her hand, feeling the connection they had. The love between them was palpable, and that moment symbolized victory over pain and uncertainty. After some inspiring words, it was time to announce the total amount raised. With their hearts racing, John and Anna revealed the amount, an impressive sum that exceeded all expectations. The park erupted in applause and shouts of joy. The happiness was contagious, and Anna felt stronger than ever. The festival was not just an event, it was an affirmation of life, a celebration of love, unity, and hope. Most importantly, it was a testament to the fact that even in the darkest hours, the light of community can shine brightly. As the festival drew to a close, John and Anna stepped away from the stage for a moment. They sat on a bench under a tree, watching the sun slowly set over the horizon. We did it, Anna, exclaimed João, beaming. Yes, we did it, Anna replied, her heart overflowing with gratitude and happiness. This was so much more than I could have imagined. There, under that colorful sky, the two brothers vowed that they would keep fighting, not just for themselves, but for all the children who needed support. They knew that the journey was far from over, but the strength they found in each other and in their community would encourage them to keep going. The Festival of Hope had been a resounding success, and the echoes of laughter and applause still echoed in Anna and João's minds long after the event had ended. In the days that followed, the city continued to vibrate with the inspiring stories that had emerged from the celebration. Local media covered the event, and Anna found herself in a series of interviews, sharing her journey and the importance of community support. Every word that fell from her lips resonated with a purpose, to raise awareness about the struggles that so many children faced. However, returning to her routine brought a new reality to light. Anna was exhausted, and no matter how hard she tried to stay motivated, the effects of the treatment were wearing her down. She felt her energy was waning, and the constant trips to the hospital for treatment were a painful reminder of how fragile life is. One day, when she returned home, she sat up in bed and let the tears run down her face. John realized something wasn't right and walked into the room, concerned. He sat down next to her, placing a comforting hand on her shoulder. Anna, what's going on? You seem distant, he said, his voice soft and concerned. She took a deep breath, trying to gather the strength to express what she felt. I feel so tired, John. After the festival, I thought everything would be easier, but it feels like I'm fighting a sea of uncertainty. The treatment is so difficult, and I'm scared of what's to come. John watched her, feeling his heart tighten. He understood that, despite all the strength she demonstrated, there were times when the weight of the battle was simply unbearable. It's normal to feel this way, Anna. We all go through ups and downs. The important thing is that you're not alone. I'm here, and together we can face any challenge." Anna looked into her brother's eyes and saw the sincerity in his gaze. She knew he would always be by her side, but even so, insecurity consumed her. "What if I can't fight anymore? What if all this is in vain?" John held her hand, his eyes steady and full of love. "The fight is never in vain. Every step you take, every small gesture counts. You inspire so many people, Anna. No matter what happens, your strength has already made a difference." That night, Anna decided she needed to find a new way to cope with her challenges. She began writing in a journal, expressing her feelings and thoughts. Writing became a refuge, a way to channel her emotions. Each word was a way to release the emotional burden that was weighing her down, and little by little, she began to feel lighter. Meanwhile, João, motivated by Anna's determination, decided he wanted to do something more meaningful too. He began organizing small community meetings to discuss issues related to childhood cancer and ways to support affected families. The idea was to create a support group where people could share experiences, offer help, and most importantly, feel connected. The first meeting was scheduled for the following week, and John felt excited but also nervous. He knew he needed to create a welcoming environment where everyone could feel comfortable sharing their stories. On the day of the meeting, the small auditorium was almost full. Mothers, fathers, and children, all united by a common bond, the fight against cancer. João took the stage, his heart pounding. He looked out at the audience and smiled, realizing he was among friends. "Thank you all for being here today. We are in this together, and the idea of this group is to create a safe space where we can support each other," he began, his voice firm and clear. The conversation flowed naturally, and stories began to flow. Each story was filled with emotion, and João was struck by the resilience of each person in the room. He remembered how Anna always said that the strength of the community was unmatched. Anna was also present, listening intently as others spoke. She was touched by everyone's courage. Each story reminded her that despite their own hardships, there were many who faced even greater challenges. After the meeting, while they were talking, a woman approached Anna and said, "Your story inspired me. I have a daughter who is going through a difficult treatment, and knowing that you are here gives us hope." Anna smiled, feeling her heart warm. The connection she felt with that mother made her realize that her struggle was not just hers, but part of something bigger. Every step, every moment of vulnerability, was contributing to a sea of hope that was expanding among people. As the weeks passed, the group grew stronger, and the meetings became a space where pain and joy coexisted. Anna and João were closer than ever, each supporting the other on their journeys. Anna began to feel a new strength within herself, a desire to become an active voice in the fight against childhood cancer. Together with João, they decided to plan an awareness campaign that would not only address the importance of emotional support, but also raise funds to help children undergoing treatment. As the days passed, Anna felt increasingly empowered. She knew that despite the challenges, unity and love could make a significant difference. And with the support of João and the community, she was determined to keep fighting, not just for herself, but for all the children who needed hope.